It was weak and useless regulation that allowed banks to lead us to the world's biggest financial collapse. Everyone was in denial. Everything was okay, as long as we kept making more money. Listen to Ben Bernanke. He couldn't see anything wrong. Amazing.
But for one person, the future was still bright. Ben Bernanke, Alan Greenspan's successor as Federal Reserve Chairman.
Tell me, what is the worst case scenario if, in fact, we were to see prices come down substantially across the country?
Well, I guess I don't buy your premise. It's a pretty unlikely possibility. We've never had a decline in house prices on a nationwide basis.
Of course, it wasn't very long after that the house prices did actually collapse. There was then a run on Northern Rock, and the whole financial crisis peaked in 2008 with the largest bankruptcies in the world and taking countries to the edge of insolvency. We don't believe anything's changed since 2008, and in 2013 we saw the first bail-in occurring in Cyprus. And at FTA we certainly don't think it'll be the last. And we're not alone in that.
What happened in Cyprus? Is that going to happen in some other countries?
Absolutely.
That's the plan.
Yeah, countries all over the world are putting rules in place now so that can be accomplished.
Well, part of what happened in Cyprus, I think, is a very good thing. There's an expectation in the United States and most of the Western world that Big Daddy should protect you if you put your money in a failing bank. If you are a depositor in a bank, you are by definition an unsecured creditor. And the idea that the market should protect you from your own stupidity, putting money in a failed bank, is anathema. Had you in Cyprus been intelligent enough to buy, as an example, gold and silver, or had you put your money in a bank outside Cyprus, you wouldn't have had this idea. The nationalization of the bail-in, I think, was bad. But the idea that we have that we're absolved of responsibility for our own financial future, in other words, if we're stupid enough to put money in a bank that has too poor of an equity slice, the bank goes upside down, we're unsecured creditors of a moron, which makes us a double moron. And we ought to be punished for that stupidity. The idea that the government has some obligation to protect us from our own stupidity. Keeping us from ingesting substances that we shouldn't ought to ingest, or driving too fast, or investing money with morons. I think it was a very healthy thing that happened in Cyprus, particularly since it didn't happen to me.
Whilst I can't agree with Rick Rule that we're morons for keeping money in the Bank of Cyprus, he does have some very valid points. Where on earth would you put your money when bail-in policies have now been established for the US, the UK, New Zealand, most countries in the world? It's apparent that this could happen at any bank, any country, anywhere in the world. Even banks which were rescued are still under threat. The RBS took $46 billion and it's still posting losses. There was an outcry when HSBC were restricting withdrawals, with people shouting, "Why should I have to justify what I want my money for?" But the fact is, it's not your money. Once you put your money into a bank, it becomes an asset of the bank. All you have is an IOU. The bank can do what it likes with that money, and if it loses it, it's your loss. And I can hear you saying, yes, well, there's €100,000 guarantee, but where would that money come from? Of course, it comes from the governments that don't have the money to pay it, and have put in place legislation to allow bail-ins in almost every country throughout the world. So here we are again, asking for another loan. A loan that we know realistically will not be made. The money doesn't exist. We should stop believing all the media reports that tell us everything's going to be wonderful and start to use some common sense. At FTA we might not have all the answers, but we've got most of them. And no, that's not our office block. It's just an illusion.